Welcome to our special feature for Sabbath School, our mission emphasis. And today we have one that's homegrown that we're really excited about. And I just want to thank our Personal Ministries Committee for the good work that they've been doing on this and will do on it. And we want to talk about that this morning and what that means for all of us. So let's see. Let's start, I believe, Diana, I think you're going to help us to understand what the purpose of this is and what it's all about.
Sure. Let me get a show of hands. How many of you enjoy the sense of belonging, of being checked on, of being loved, of being cared? And that's what We Care Ministry is all about. Because discipleship, being a disciple, and making disciples requires a relationship. It's relationship in community with God and with one another. So how does We Care help us in our journey with God? So We Care teams visit and check in on our members and the community, our neighbors, just sharing the love of Jesus in a tangible way. It could just be, say, I'm thinking of you. It can be a phone call and just praying with that person over the phone. It can also be a visit where you knock on the door and you go with another team member and check in on that person. And we're here just to pray with you. And sometimes when I go on these visits, some people, especially those that are homebound, you know what they enjoy the most? Is a nice, warm hug. Appropriate hug, Christian hug. So, and that's what We Care is all about, is us. God has placed us in this community to nurture us as disciples so that we care for one another in tangible ways. And then we also care for those who walk in the doors who are not yet members of this family, but we care for them and we extend to them the love of Christ. I want to share a quick story about the power of a visit. About 50 years ago, my mom was in a hospital. She was actually raised in a Christian home, but here she was in a hospital, and she was desperate for somebody to really be present in her life. She was desperate to see God working in her life. And so she asked God, I need you to send me a pastor to talk with me, to help me. And wherever that pastor is going to come from, I'm going to go to that church. So on the same day, a pastor from the Seventh-day Adventist church in her community showed up at her hospital bed. However he learned of my mom being there, I don't know, but he showed up. That is a God divine appointment. Now, when she got well and she was home again, she thought, that must have been just a fluke. How is it possible I just prayed in the morning and somebody showed up in my hospital room? Well, then she asked God again. She said, God, send me the person that you want me to go to their church. So sometime that week, the same pastor showed up at her home. And then she thought, okay, that wasn't a fluke, that is God. Now, a relative who was a member of that church kept visiting us. And one day he came and he invited our family. He says, we're having an evangelistic series this week. Why don't you come? Come and listen. So we went on the last 2 days of that evangelistic series. And from there, the first night I heard the message, I was convinced that I should be baptized again. And so from there on, I became a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That is the power of a visit. And today, I raise my children as members and followers of Christ in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. That is the power of a visit that starts with different individuals just showing up, listening to the voice of God speaking with them.
Amen. Wonderful. Thank you. Alan, something's happening this afternoon. What's going on that's going to help us have this launching in our church of We Care?
We just want to connect with our brothers and sisters and share what practical lessons
some of us have had and learned in our experiences throughout the years in visiting our village church member family. We will walk you through different types of visits, scenarios, and remember you are in control of the times and frequency. You can participate with the We Care visitation team. We will also demonstrate in role-playing different types of visits you would most likely be doing for your church family, and you will have an opportunity to ask questions and take notes, and we will share with you ideas on respecting privacy and boundaries, and mostly how we can be instrumental in the Lord's hands, that we can lift up each other and let them know that we love them. We care deeply about bringing our church together in Christian love that we so desperately need in our church, and that has been through so much in the last year now. And as we commanded in John 13:34-35, that tells us, "A new commandment I give you, that you love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if you have loved one to another." And from the Testimony, Volume 9, page 36, says, "My brethren and sisters, give yourselves to the Lord for service. Allow no opportunity to pass unimproved. Visit the sick, the suffering, and show a kindly interest in them. If possible, do something to make them more comfortable. Through this means you can reach their hearts and speak a word for Christ. Eternity alone will reveal how far-reaching such a line of labor can be." Close quote. I believe we all can do something no matter what limitations we have, and no matter how small a part we have in God's wonderful work, and bringing back our church back to unity and the love of Jesus.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Alan, for sharing that, because I know that comes out of your heart. You're a real witness for the Lord. Keni, people might be thinking about joining this. What encouragement would you give them?
This is a ministry of church total commitment or involvement. It's based off what Jesus said to cast a net. You can imagine many fishes came along. All of us, regardless of present situations we have, probably a grandma can pick up a phone and call someone. An able person can connect for a few minutes, a day, a week, 3 months, even a year. We'll show you how. Can you imagine hundreds of us call one person each a year? That 100 visit would be impossible if we didn't call that one person. You may be the only voice that person was looking for help. You may be the only hands and feet of Jesus available for that time. You may be the only hope that person was looking for in a wrong place or some other places. You may be the only loving, caring, and a person that has met this person realizing, oh, somebody cares. John Maxwell once said, God doesn't begin with your ability. He started with your availability and dependability. That increases your capability. Okay? What does total church commitment means? Our involvement encourage every member or other members who are not actively coming back to know that somebody cares. Our involvement as members engage them to some ministry that we never believed so they will. Our involvement also is a biblical principle that Jesus said, go ye therefore. Our involvement is part of the movement that fosters spiritual life to someone, including us. Our involvement is an initiative aiming to ensure the mission of this church that we are promoting culture and evangelism and discipleship, telling them with this word, if not me, who? If not now, when?
Thank you so very much. I'm so excited about this, and thank you, Diana, and you and your team for putting this together. But this church wants to be the church that cares, and you get involved in this, you'll be the face of that to the community, outside the church, inside the church, to care the way Jesus cares. Thank you for putting this together.